we are live. Grip the Grain. Special guest, my man, Richard Corey.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing fantastic.
I just had this weird, I feel like I'm sitting in front of Elon Musk for a second.
No, man, he has.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Richard has a lot more hair.
I was like, what is going on?
That's not the first time I've heard that.
That's great. So we have a special episode today. Author, hype man, attorney. This guy does it all. Athlete, maybe not so much now. Former athlete.
Yeah.
Just and a good friend of mine,
Musician.
a brother.
Right. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, musician.
Yeah, multiple instruments, production, engineering, mixing, everything. You name it. Met this guy, local watering hole, and just kind of, we just kind of like saw greatness in each other right away, and we sparked this really awesome relationship. And he's here now, so we're happy to have you on Grip the Grain for another one of our video episodes here.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely, thank you. And
I'm happy to be here in your sweet ass office.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so this is dope. Like, we might have to just see
it is indeed dope.
we might have to see about
Look at that shit.
sipping on the best.
Fantastic. Yep.
Sipping
we
on some
are.
Blue Label.
Always.
And some Macallan 15. So
Yep.
That's what happens when you come into my office.
That's right.
there you go. Right there. So, all right. So we have a few things that we want to talk about. We are pretty much getting into a rotation here as far as like having our guests come and whatnot, but we also want to, highlight at least kind of the vision that we have, for the show. We want to highlight like so many different avenues, not just people in like certain career fields. We want to highlight, so many different, like just when we see greatness, when we see somebody just shining, we want the world to see that, and
Well, I appreciate to be part of it, man.
yeah, man, you've been somebody that we, have talked about having on the show since like the birth of the show and before that. So,
And before the
before that,
show,
yeah.
Like,
So, thank you for everything that you did to make this happen.
I'm honored to be here.
Shout outs, yeah. So the first thing we wanna get into is we want you to kind of like let the people know a little bit about like what you do as far as what type of law you were involved in, which I know you can segue in so many different, avenues there, but just talk a little bit about, the law field that you're working in or work in or.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you noticed that on my business cards it says Richard Corey Enterprise Law.
Yeah.
So most attorneys, they say I'm a personal injury attorney or I'm a criminal attorney or it's what they do.
Right. Real estate, whatever.
Yeah. So I ended up watching a TED Talks with a guy named Dr. Simon Sinek. And he was talking about what's called the golden circle.
okay.
And this video dictated like how I branded my practice.
Okay.
So what he's talking about, now this isn't me, this is Mr. Simon Sinek. I'm just quoting him.
Yeah.
If you take a cross section of the human brain, look at it from the top down,
Okay.
the outermost portion is called the neocortex. And what that portion of the brain does is it's like your analytical thinking.
Okay.
What? Should I do this? Should I not do that? When you look at the innermost portion, that's called the limbic brain.
Right.
And that is like your feelings. Your when you have like a gut feeling, that's where it's coming from.
Okay.
So when you're saying what I do, I'm a personal injury attorney, or I'm a criminal attorney, or I'm an entertainment attorney, that's what I do. You're appealing to the part of the brain, to whatever your audience is.
Okay.
To the portion of the brain that is used for like rationalization, for analytical thought. Should I hire this guy? Should I not? When you switch it to, instead of what you do, a why you do,
Okay.
then you're appealing to a totally different portion of the brain. Now, I don't want to get into any more of quoting Mr. Sinek,
Yeah.
but ultimately, enterprise law, I just went with the dictionary definition of enterprise, which is systematic, purposeful activity.
Okay.
So that is my purpose, systematic, purposeful activity. And what I do is I work side by side with clients on, really, I'm a fixer. I fix issues. I fix problems.
That's an important thing to do when you're an attorney.
So getting into like...
So if you've got a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the beats while the DJ revolves it. Your Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
In different words.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, so I mean, over the years, I started my own practice, as you know, right out of school. And first it was door law, meaning whatever came in the door.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I graduated law school in 2012. I took the Florida bar July 2012. Got my results. Got sworn into the bar. I think it was September 18th.
Okay.
And then went and started the company in my mom's living room the very next day. And here we are 8 years later. What I do now is I represent...
That's that grinding mentality right there.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
There's so many...
Well, I've been blessed just with this journey I've been on. I've gotten involved with all kinds of cool things. Just some by accident, some on purpose, some by just being a blessed individual, which I absolutely am.
I like to think our relationship is like not an accident, but like, you know.
Well, we've had many discussions over the years, you and I, man.
So many good discussions.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. We want the people to, we want the people to hear.
What's your nickname? The Elephant.
Wow.
You know why? He never forgets anything.
He never forgets? Yeah.
Anything. I can tell him anything. I can talk about anything, and he'll remember every detail.
That's not a challenge for you guys listening to test me on that, but
You should. No, definitely do that.
It's something
Absolutely do that.
surprisingly, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Surprisingly, because you're on a fucking roll. It's when I open up, I choose to do it. Right, so it doesn't matter the scenario. It could be a bar setting, it could be whatever. I'm generally a really friendly person despite my stature, how big I am. And sometimes I have this really
I wouldn't pick a fight with you.
This really stoic Asian look where I'm just kind of like, I seem not interested, but it's just my face. I can't help it.
Yeah, you've got
like I don't wake up and,
resting dick face.
Yeah, not really, because I smile. Like I feel like I smile. Maybe I don't. I don't know. That's probably the whole point.
I kind of think he has
of
a
the
baby
RBF.
face, no?
Yeah, whatever. And so,
Yeah, but sometimes babies are dicks.
but it's baby. Yes. Quarantine's been hard with these kids.
You
man.
bite your tongue, sir.
It has.
No, it's true. But like going back to my point, I feel like a lot of people, like you were kind of just sitting there, and you were relatively new, to the watering hole, and I'm friendly, man. I can start conversations and carry them even if people are lacking, and I can grab a hint if I see that the person's not trying to be engaging. But a lot of times when people sit at a bar, they're
usually there because they
for some reason
don't want to be left alone, right? Otherwise, they'd be drinking alone at home.
Yeah, sure.
Well, most of the time, I'm actually just getting takeout and hanging
Well,
out.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Waiting for my quesadilla to go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But
I did have the opportunity to meet you guys there.
So go ahead and continue a little bit.
Continue
about,
your why.
So, well, I was getting into like the what actually,
I know
what
you
I
were.
do. I do a lot of commercial litigation, a lot of civil litigation.
Explain commercial litigation for people.
So, I'm a trial lawyer. I try cases. My staff were prepared to go to trial. A lot of attorneys litigate, but they're not necessarily trial attorneys.
Yep.
We are trial attorneys here. So civil litigation is I'm blessed to represent several new business startups, but more importantly, some very large companies that are growing nationally.
Okay.
And once you ever heard the term growing problems? So as these people grow, they end up with more problems, and thankfully that happens because that keeps me in business.
Yeah.
And so civil litigation is litigation that is not criminal. There's nothing. I do practice criminal law. We can talk about that in a minute. But commercial litigation is most likely contract disputes between companies.
Okay.
Civil litigation is basically anything that's not criminal.
Okay.
Right.
So that's a very broad.
It sure is. I understand.
So I don't really practice anything personal injury, but I do practice criminal law. Like I said, I like to litigate. So with civil litigation, you're in court once every couple of months. Once you get closer to trial, then it ramps up a little bit. But with criminal, you're in court often.
Okay.
And it keeps you on your toes, keeps me fresh with the evidence code and everything. Sure. It's been a big part of my practice. In fact, my first jury trial was a criminal case.
Okay.
So that was one of the craziest things in my career, actually. It was jury trial for a felony battery. Now, in my opinion, the case should have been dropped from the get-go. I believe that there was a prosecutor, I'm not going to name any names, that may have
please
had...
do not.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, but I believe that there was like some kind of competition there, or just I don't know what I did to them. But
You mean like opposing counsel, or
just the case should have been dropped. I never thought it was going to go to trial. Anyway, next thing you know, we're at the pre-trial conference. Now, I'm fresh out of school at this time. This was, I started my practice in September of 2012. This isn't like November. I get the case. We're in trial like February. So I've been practicing, like my career at that point was the lengthy 5 months that it was.
Yeah.
And I had, don't mind you, I had no
It's like fresh out of basic training at your duty station.
Yeah, but you also got to take away the basic training. Because who did I learn from? I was sitting in my mom's living room at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had interned at the state attorney's office while I was in law school. So I've seen a lot of this stuff done. Of course, I went to law school.
Intuition, man. You have divine intuition.
It was until we get to the point where something called voir dire, and that's the process of picking a jury.
Okay.
Problem was, at the time, I had never even seen it done yet.
Oh, geez.
So I'm thinking, like, I mean, I had no problem doing it. Thankfully, I'm not conceited, but I was confident. I just knew I was willing to put in the work to figure it out. But I also was sure that this case was going to get nol pros, which is a Latin term for meaning we're dropping the charges.
Dropping it, yeah.
They should have. Anyway, they proceed, so I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We allowed to curse on here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, oh, shucks.
Yeah.
No, you know exactly what I was thinking. So, in between the pre-trial conference and starting jury selection, my client's talking to me as what's going on, and I had to be cool, calm, and collective. But I was in the corner looking up YouTube on voir dire, just getting some. I mean, I knew what I was doing, but like it was like, wow, this is really going forward. It would have been nice.
Bad people are like pulling up YouTube for everything. Don't feel bad.
Oh yeah, but it would have been nice to have somebody saying like, yo, you're messing up here. Anyway, it was a case about a fight. So I packed the jury with people, and my like what I used as my tactic.
Right.
Was I was kind of going by where people are from. Like, oh, you're from Miramar? Oh, you definitely been in a fist fight. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're from Hollywood?
You're from Murder Mar?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're from Carver Ranches? Okay, there's a fight. Oh, you grew up in Davie? Where? Oh, shit, you've definitely been in a fist fight.
Yeah.
So
you're definitely a Davie boy.
So ultimately, we got a jury verdict of not guilty. Thank God. And no, that was really fun. And actually, the judge was fantastic. She gave some really good what's the word? Not criticism.
I don't know. Constructive
advice. She knew I was young, but then the journey just continued. And over the years, I've gotten involved with some really cool entertainment business stuff.
That's like your bread and butter, right?
Well, I wouldn't call it my bread and butter. That's my passion, because like what made me decide to go to law school was my love for the entertainment business, my love for music.
Right.
So it started.
Which both of us have the same.
Yeah, man. That's part of the reason why we clicked. You're a drummer as well.
Yeah.
So when I was in undergrad at UCF, I would go and hang out. I was actually underage at the time, but my roommate was a bartender at one of the local spots. So I'd go there and hang out, and I got in just because of who I knew, whatever.
Yeah.
And I met a guy there, and he's like, "Oh, you got to hear my brother. He can rap." And this, I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, yeah. You know, every black kid can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then one day, the same guy, he came in. He's like, "Hey, you got to meet my brother." And I heard him, and I was just like, like, why are you not famous? This guy blew my mind.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Which is like rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you hear people freestyle and stuff.
Because if you're into music, you're into hip hop, and you grew up with that urban kind of.
Well, that's how we all grew up in South Florida.
Well, not everyone.
It's our culture.
Like he grew up in South Florida, but he grew up very different. And I wouldn't have been friends with him in high school and that's something like me and my girlfriend talk about, because we're just different. Like, you know, she listens to trap music now, and she gets it because of the lingo. she's like, this is so much more fun listening to it with you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's because a lot of that shit comes naturally. Like, it's just, you know, when you're in it, you're built by it, you see it, you know. So that's the whole term, real, recognize real. We kind of saw that with each other, and we didn't have to explain because, you know, things that don't need to be explained.
Yeah.
And so, but for hip hop, which is why I love kind of everything about your story, I love the fact that you're just as passionate about it. But
that's where I came
not
from.
Just from, because as a musician, if you're listening, musicians, we have the ability to hear music broken down. So you can be sitting at a concert and you can hear this large ensemble playing, and you hear the sound of music, which is everyone playing.
Hopefully not literally the sound of music.
The sound of music.
Well,
The hills should not be alive with the sound of music.
That's your thing, whatever. But I'm just saying, you hear music, and that's kind of like that's just what you hear. But when you're a musician, you hear when the drummer goes off a beat. He could be a half beat or a half note behind, you know, and he's like, oh, that drum's fucking off. But he'll fix himself and catch back on.
Oh, I hate when the drummer off beat
or
is
you'll
me.
hear a scale that's a chord playing the wrong, you know, a guitarist or somebody playing the wrong. So you have, as a musician, we recognize things, and it's very intricate. It's not just like, I mean, it's. No
I don't mean
deal.
to cut you off real quick. I just want, while I'm thinking of it, talking about the drummer going off beat. My father's a renowned entertainer, and he'll call me on stage sometimes. This is where I got like my start in music as a drummer. Yeah. And I'll play at his gigs for like 1 or 2 songs. He'll call me up, and it's usually like the same couple songs.
I went to one.
Yeah, you did go to one.
Yeah.
But if I'm lagging or if whatever, and he starts clapping, everyone thinks that he's just into the music.
No, he's trying to
get you back on.
He's trying to put you on game. Yeah.
It's fucking fun.
But that's the thing. We recognize that. So, like, and then it goes for it's not just instruments. Like, if you hear like for we love hip hop. So if you hear a rapper, if you hear a rapper rapping, he could be like Big Sean's notorious, right, for rapping off beat. But he's so sick. But he pulls it back, or he consistently raps. I like Big Sean. Then he comes back, and then he goes back off. You know, it's not.
But he's doing that on purpose.
Yeah, but then there's guys like Blueface who does it on purpose too, who, in my opinion, is kind of trash. You know, I like the guy, but his music's not for me. But that's the beauty of hip hop. Everything doesn't have to be for you, and there's always something for you if that's your genre. But the thing about Richard is we've been tipping it back and just talking about like, yo, this guy is like my top, you know, and he's like, nah, and I'm like, yeah, and then he's like, show me, and then I show him, and he's like, dang, dog, thanks for putting me on game, because now, like, he's like, yeah,
you introduced me to was Big Crit,
Bruno Mali, big.
You put me on to the guys. Wow, man, I forgot their names. The Asian guys.
Oh, you talking about the Korean rappers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Year the Ox.
Year the Ox.
Yeah, man, that album's crazy.
Shout out to my Koreans, though. They're doing their thing. Those are they're like New York MCs, though. They're just they're born in it.
The guy I was talking about he was from Brooklyn. His name's Louis Rivera. His name at the time was
I met him.
Louis the 13th. Oh, you did meet him?
Yeah. Okay, I met him without you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small world.
But
bars. Oh yeah, he's a monster. Did you hear him go?
Oh, he wouldn't let me not listen. Like he was just. He's like, he's like, Rich. I was like, yeah, that's my dog. And he's like, I got something for you, buddy. And then
I got something for you, Poppy.
I came out. I was like, yo,
that Puerto Rican and Dominican.
Yeah, hard body.
I love it.
Hard body.
So it's kind of like the stars aligned. So back to my freshman sophomore year of college. Forget what it was, one or the other.
Yeah.
I met his brother Ben.
This is UCF?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His brother Ben is a good friend of mine. These guys are family to me.
Right.
And introducing me to Lou. And it just so happens that one of my roommates at the time, a guy named John Dewey, who is he's a dear friend of mine. I played high school football with him. He's a monster football player. You'd know his dad, AJ Dewey, from the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
So he was playing at Toledo with a couple other buddies of mine.
Boy.
Oh yeah, but definitely not someone you want to make mad.
Yeah.
But I didn't know this, but he was a ridiculous producer. Like, out of all the producers I've met in my career, this guy's up there, and I've been around.
Like renowned, or just like he's just good at his craft?
He is renowned. He's just not renowned yet. People like the world hasn't discovered.
Like no one knew Ronnie Cycli was a incredible DJ.
Well, this is one of those like nobody's discovered Timberland yet. I mean, this guy's talent is unbelievable.
That's a pretty big.
So the stars kind of aligned.
Sure.
And then also another buddy of mine named Mario Caroscio, who is.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
Oh, you know him too? He is a creative genius. When I tell you, like, the most brilliant person I've ever met runs circles around me, and I'd like to think that I'm pretty smart.
I would hope so.
He's a good dude too.
For your clients.
Every time I've met him, he's an excellent guy.
But so
he produced and wrote your audiobook.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did. Well, no, I wrote the audio. I wrote it.
Well, you wrote it.
Sorry,
you
wrote
it.
Sorry.
But anyway, getting started. So it went when I met Lou at a place called Devaney's at UCF, and anyone anyone from UCF in that period of time will know Devaney's.
Yep.
So it went from like, man, how are you not famous? Let me help you. Like, to next thing you know, we started a record label, and we were partners, and we built a recording studio in my house and in Mario's house. It was actually my buddy Vinny's bedroom. Mario and Vinny were roommates.
Right.
And then just that, I went full steam ahead while I was in college in producing music, putting on rap shows, rap concerts. And what happened was,
love it.
Ended up working with some other guys, a guy named Chris Robertson and Risky Money. These two people are so talented. You would love their music too. I got to get it to you. And their managers were a guy named Mark Hankin, Eddie Diaz, and Paul O'Connell at the time.
Okay.
And we ended up just working together, like collaborating forces, and we did a lot of cool stuff. But what would happen was, and if I marketed like, hey, you know, Louis performing live at whatever place Friday night,
right?
Nobody cared because they didn't know who he was.
Sure, sure.
So what I would do is I'd go around. I was friends with a lot of the heads of the sororities and stuff at UCF. So, Greek life. I wasn't in Greek life, but Greek life at UCF. UCF's also one of the biggest, if not the biggest, college in the United States. So Greek life is a very big thing. So I'd go and talk to the heads of sororities. So instead of saying, hey, you know, Louis and C-Rob are performing tonight, I would market, hey, I have tried out tried out the the Zeta, Kappa Delta. We're doing a 3-way social tonight. And then I'd go to the whatever establishment and say, hey, you know, I'm going to pack your bar tonight with girls. So I need the girls to get in free. I'm charging $10 for the guys. I get the door, you get the bar, and I want 10% of liquor sales.
Right.
They look at me like, kid, are you crazy? Like, well, maybe. but
it's going to work.
Either way, you're either going to sign on the dotted line right here. I would draft up a contract.
Yeah.
Or you're going to watch me go across the street and pack your...
Yeah, we'll do it in liquid cellar. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing that on a regular basis. And that's where people were like, yo, Rich, you're pretty good at this. You should go to law school. I had never even thought about going to law school. I was thinking like,
That's a hell of a, like...
It's a pretty solid origin story.
It's a short amount of time to curve and get into law school. And
so I said, you know what, let me try. And at the time, I did everything wrong.
I don't know this story, so this is really
okay. Well, I did everything wrong. I was too cool for school. You know, I was out having fun, and I mean, I'm blessed to be smart enough to where I'd go in.
When you're as handsome as we are, you know, it doesn't.
Well, I would study like 2 days before the exam.
Yeah,
that's an exaggeration. It'd be like 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. And
I looked at the notes.
And I looked at the Spark notes. I didn't even look at the Spark notes. I read the back of the book. And
boy!
And I didn't do nearly as well as I could have, but I decided to commit myself. And one of the things, like going back to my father, he always just told me, like, Rich, what are you doing, man? Like you have more than this. You're better than this. Stop wasting your time. And I didn't hear him. I heard him. But I didn't. I was listening, but I wasn't hearing him.
Yeah,
as most kids don't. You know, it's kind of the role we play.
If I could go back to my 19-year-old self, you know what I would do immediately?
Oh man,
slap
you in
the
face?
shit out of him. Yeah, slap.
Yeah. I mean, I had a fairly decent path into the military at a young age, but I would have still slapped the shit out of me for some of the decisions I made.
Yeah,
There's always sayings like the amount of money I spent that I could have saved. You know, I didn't need 75 pairs of Jordans. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't need it. But fucking when you grow up without, and then you feel like you need to ball out. And that's something in itself that's, you know, I'm going to try to teach my kids as far as like, you know, just quality and quantity and just what's worth it, investing in your future. Things that I didn't get taught to me, you know, I'm like finding out shit now. Everything, you know, just like I didn't grow up with like learning how to build credit, you know, and that's so crucial, you know, so crucial. And those are things that I want to, I didn't mean to like derail.
No, go.
But those are things that I definitely want to, you know, try to implement from day one with my children, you know. So these are things that I'm building and working on. So I have every bit of knowledge and experience with the growth and the success and the failures and every factor. Every factor is important in being better the next day. So
sure.
But go ahead. Sorry, man.
Well, no. So it went from you know, things kind of fell apart with the label in undergrad. Just everyone went their separate ways. And,
Yeah.
You know, it just
College.
Well, also we all needed to go through that gestation period. Like we had to learn.
Yeah.
As much as I thought I was ready, I wasn't ready. I had no idea what the real world was like.
Yeah.
So then, went to law school. Thank God for I have a lot of people I could thank, but thank God for my mom. This woman is a saint. Elizabeth Thompson Corey.
Shout out to mom.
Is the greatest woman in the history of the world. I love her.
You only get one mom.
Yeah.
So
and I got blessed with a good one.
I don't give a shit if it's good or bad. You get one mom.
Well,
some people have two moms.
She dealt with my brother and I.
I mean, you get one biological mom, but that's kind of where I'm at.
So
I didn't mean to be insensitive, you asshole. Fuck you.
Well, of my brother and I, of the two of us, I'm the least talented. My brother's a monster.
He's going to be on the show.
He's the guy who...
I don't care if he's like, just
shout
let me
out
know.
Jared.
Like,
he's the guy who painted all the sweet-ass pictures.
Gang, you getting on the show, dog. Like, we finna...
Yeah, he's incredible. I love him so much. But, so went to law school, and... Before in the time period between law school and then between graduating undergrad, and going to law school, I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Ted Lucas at Slip and Slide Records.
Oof.
And work directly under the general manager, Christian Farad, who is now, he's the GM of Joey Badass's label up in New York. Now, this guy's the man, and he took me under his wing.
Joey just put out a little...
They're killing it out there.
3 songs.
Yeah.
It's been quiet for a little bit.
I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I also worked with Henry Sedano, who was in charge of Rick Ross's projects, Plaza's projects. So it was cool for me coming in
That's incredible.
Coming in from starting something from, you know, literally in our living room to seeing how term sheets and how everything works when you're dealing with Atlantic, Sony, Epic. So it kind of like, this is before I even started law school. Mm-hmm. So it kind of built a foundation for me to really, really love entertainment. I mean, that's where my heart's always been.
Good.
And went to law school, and my experiences there, I interned with 2 different entertainment attorneys. A guy named John Bradley, great guy.
Okay.
Monster entertainment attorney. Then
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. He's been around a long time. I interned in the homicide division for the state attorney's office, which was crazy because most people, they start at the state attorney's office, they start in like misdemeanor.
Yeah,
but Mister, I didn't mean it. But
you started straight up at the top.
Yeah, I started in felonies working with the best of the best. Now, I wasn't getting paid or anything. I was an intern.
Yeah.
But just to see how the top attorneys in the state of Florida move.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about guys that were part of the team that tried like Ted Bundy type stuff. You know what I mean? Like big time people. And got to learn from them. And then I worked with a lady named Charlotte Town, who is to this day one of my best friends, one of my mentors, and then she
shout out Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to give a shout out to Elliot Zimmerman too.
Elliot Zimmerman,
who is also Elliot was. We were talking Greek life. Elliot was like the grand big. Charlotte was my babe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Elliot's a board certified intellectual property attorney. He's done all kinds of crazy things. They
Sounds
represented
like a monster.
Yeah, he represented Luther Campbell on some things, and Charlotte is until this day. Actually, both of Charlotte and Elliot are both mentors and good friends of mine. That I look up to very much. I call them regularly for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually work on several cases with both of them, so that's cool.
Nice.
That's big shit.
And then you know, graduating, getting into running my own practice, there was a big learning curve because now this is the first time where even before when I was running a business, the entertainment companies, I was in school, so like I was working at Ruby Tuesdays.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that was my real income, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time, if we went and did a show and sometimes I'd walk with a couple $1,000s in my pocket as a 19, 20-year-old kid.
Right.
Not kid, but I was a kid.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
absolutely
You're
a kid.
still- you're a fucking
I was a retard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're a fucking kid.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, I got 18 new pairs of shoes instead of
course
putting it
you
away.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Starting my practice, this is the first time I'm really running a business. So I had to learn how to be an attorney and a business owner at the same time.
And an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the above. So you know what that equals?
Shit show. Clusterfuck.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Long hours.
I bet.
You know, but thank
Grind
God.
don't stop.
Nah, it never does. It never does. But I wouldn't trade it in for anything. Some people ask me, you know, would you have, because I actually did have some opportunities to work for some people. And I was too stubborn to ever give in to what I set out to prove, not to anyone else, but just to myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to myself
I believe that.
that I can do this.
You're still the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I got a little bit more confidence because I'm starting to learn how to do things.
Sure, it is no longer your first rodeo.
It is not my second or third rodeo.
But
I've
what
been
I
in the
will
game
say,
now.
as somebody, you know, I like to think we're very good friends. There's been times
Absolutely,
where
man.
you've come by and we've sat on the balcony or whatever, and we've talked, and you're just like, did I, like, in your opinion, did I make a mistake or did I do this, do that?
Yeah.
And like, you know, you're always going to be.
Well, I'm human, man.
You are, but what I'm saying is some people don't give a shit about their decision making. They're like, I do this or I did that because I felt that was the best decision. But you question yourself because you're your biggest fan and your worst critic.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people
Especially the latter.
A lot of people don't look into themselves as heavy as you do. Because a lot of people think, like, a lot of people will as a natural cause of them failing or, you know, or a path going an opposite direction of what they
But
wanted.
there's no such thing as failure unless you give up. Like,
Right.
for me, I
just meant the decision making.
I made the
right?
decision. The decision I made was that I will do this or I will die trying. One or the other.
Sure.
You know,
And you're not dead yet.
No, I heard Will Smith talking one time where he's saying, like, I don't care what you do, who you are. I don't remember the exact words, but
Right.
he's like, don't challenge me on a treadmill. Like, you will not outrun me. Not saying he's faster than anybody, but he, like, if it's a matter of who will stop first,
Sure.
he will die.
He's stubborn before he loses.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I don't care who you are, what you have going for you. Like,
I never want to get in an argument with you.
I hope we never do.
Right?
Every chick is like, me either.
Well, so, but
That's a good.
well, you know what my
that's a
dream
good,
was?
like-
It ultimately wasn't to be an attorney. You know what I wanted to do? I just wanted to represent the idea of infinite possibility. Like, if you, like, your dream may be different than mine. Your dream is different than mine.
So let's segue into what else you do outside of law. You're the founder of Go Ape,
Yes.
right? So I think we can bridge that.
Yeah, I saw the
talk a
picture.
little
I have
bit.
no idea what Go Ape is.
Okay. So, all right. It started with, it's crazy how, like, miracles happen when.
I thought this guy was a salesman because he gave me this, like, when we first met, he gave me like this, like, card, and then you texted me this, like, thing of, like,
Of course I'm a salesman.
like an agreement.
I'm selling myself, man.
Nah, but it's you know what you are, and I get like the humor behind it, but it's very genuine. It's not. It's like you believe in it, not you believe in you. So it's not. To me, I didn't receive it as like you were selling it. I did because I didn't know you.
Yeah.
You know, but once I got to know you, I'm like, this man is just really it's like me. It's like when I have a conversation with somebody that I just met, they're very intrigued as to why I'm so invested. And it's half of it is not even because of them. It's because I think there's growth in being vulnerable. I think there's growth in being open and exposing yourself certain ways so that, you know, people can learn from it, because you always have the opportunity to either bless someone or yourself with an opportunity by just being kind, being, you know.
Well, if your purpose isn't bigger than yourself, then there's something wrong with your purpose. Like, you have to have an idea that's bigger than self-gratification.
Well, yeah, sure. So, I mean, everyone's not there. Well, some people never even think that far.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
I would love to.
That's why I talk to people, you know. And it's
but you're there.
You're in a different. I'm there, but you're there differently because of your path and how you're choosing to project it. Right. For instance, the show is one of my ways and platforms to do that. I'm just always talking to people, you know, and so. I haven't been the best version of myself during you know the elections and stuff, and I don't want to get into politics.
Yes, please no.
But I will say,
need a break from fucking politics.
I will say a lot of my agitation and a lot of my pain and a lot of my frustration is because I care so much about everybody as much as I care about myself.
Well,
I mean, you know should. And if everyone did, we'd be in a better place.
Here's something that I learned. There were times where I had the nerve to be like, oh, poor me. Oh, nobody understands. The truth is, I did not have the easiest road.
Sure.
Absolutely not. But the truth also is that I'm very blessed, and there's a lot of people that have it a lot worse than I do.
Yeah.
Like, not even close. Like, I don't know what a bad day is compared to what other people are going through. So,
and that's very important.
I don't pretend to.
Yeah.
You know, like there's things that I'll never know. Like, I'll never know what it's like to be on the other end of systematic racism. I just won't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we're not going to go there, but that's something I can't relate to.
Yeah. But you can still listen when
Absolutely.
people talk about it.
But
like every single person you meet, there will be at least one thing that they know that you don't know.
Well, what Go Ape means,
Right.
it's an acronym.
Right.
It's an acronym. Okay.
Yes. APE, Actively Pursuing Excellence.
Okay.
So I wrote a book, The Blueprint, Bridging the Gap Between You and Your Vision. You mentioned the audiobook. Yes, I have an audiobook. What I did there is I tell the story about a fictional character that I did not make up.
Right.
His name, coincidentally, is Richard Corey. So I didn't make him up. He's a character from a poem written in 1897 by Edwin Arlington Robinson.
Okay.
Then there's been songs written about him by Simon and Garfunkel. Then Paul McCartney and Wings. It's like the legend of this character, Richard Corey. So for me, I thought it was cool, like the story of Richard Corey written by Richard Corey. What I'm doing there is, in the book, I take universal truths, things that are just accepted as true. I get into quantum physics, get into brain function, talking about the golden circle of Simon Sinek. I actually expand on that and how the mind works, like things that not coming from me. I mean, what do I know? Who am I?
Just research and observation.
But research from I'm finding sources that are universally accepted as true. Then I take the syllogistic reasoning, like deductive logic.
What does syllogistic mean?
If this is this and that is that, then this plus this must equal that.
Okay.
Deductive logic.
Oh,
One
sure.
plus one is two.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You know, and also in law school, you're taught to, like, everything has its fundamental elements. So, you know, if you're talking first degree murder, it's the elements are that the state would need to prove, or the prosecution would need to prove, is the intentional killing of another human being with malice aforethought, or whatever it is. I'm quoting. It's been a while.
I'm just going to assume that's right.
Yeah. So it's this plus this plus this.
That's why
plus
we hire attorneys, because we don't fucking know.
Yeah. Equals conviction.
They sound good, so I guess.
But you know, as just the ideology of that, you can apply that to anything. How do I start my firm and make it work? Or how do I start my podcast and make it work? Well, for me to do it, I would need to learn how to do this. I would need to learn how to market. I need to learn how to get an audience.
Right.
I need to learn how to do this. And so these things, when you put them in terms of math, this plus this plus this equals, boom, that podcast is popping now.
Yeah.
So what do? You go and look at each individual element, break that down, understand it. And if you literally wrote it out, so for me to get the audience,
Right.
I would need to accomplish. So that's one of the main equation. For you to do that, you'll break it. Well, for me to get the audience, that means I would have to do this plus this plus this. And then for me to do that, I would have to do this plus this plus this. Break it all the way down. And what Going Ape is, actively pursuing the most excellent version of yourself, is taking that blueprint, hence the name of my book, that you just created for yourself by using deductive logic and working backwards, and then executing the plan of action. Nice. Actively pursuing excellence. That's what it stands for. Yeah.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, when you told me that, I was like, man, this is the kind of person that I want around, because I'm not always the best at.
Neither am I.
Right. And I think we kind of like fed off of each other, because, you know, we were drinking, and it was like off guard. It was like, it was off guard. And, you know, I'm a big guy of tattoo. Like, I don't look the most presentable all the time. Maybe if you know me, you know me, but just sitting there, I'm a very large male. And so you have to almost have to like put yourself, you kind of have to almost put yourself in the back burner sometimes when you think, like, my girlfriend always tells me, she's like, you're in the way a lot. You're a big guy. Like, you're just, and I'm like, I don't wake up and look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm just taking up space everywhere I fucking go.
But it's true.
I didn't realize I'm a fire hazard in every aisle of every fucking thing that I'm standing in. You know, so
now that you mentioned,
I'm not like 400
if you
pounds.
If you
but,
stood in the fire
I'm
exit,
like
no one would get out.
You know, 6'2", 260. I'm like, just everything is large, and so
most things,
you know, fuck you. And so I don't think about that kind of shit, right? Because I've been in my body my whole life. I live. This is just the way it is, and so, you know, when I had my conversation with you, the very first, I still remember it vividly, like you said, the elephant.
The elephant. Yeah, man.
And there's been hundreds of conversations since we've been friends the past few years where, you know, you're just like, hey man, I gotta talk to you about something. And I'm like, okay. And then you tell me, and I'm like, dude, we talked about that like last night. And then you're like, well, I was just making sure that you heard me, you know, I just want to know what you think.
You know what it is? I move a mile a minute. Like, even so, ADD is an understatement. I'm trying to get things done sometimes.
Yeah,
and I'm working out other issues in my mind. Like, it's just part of the
But I actually
course.
listen.
Yeah, you do.
You know, a lot of people are present in the moment. I'm just present in the entire engagement. Like,
you know how many times I've heard, just be here now.
Right?
Just be here now.
Wow.
It's like, I don't mean to. It's just, I'm wound up.
You're also a very busy person.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
But you know what? I wouldn't
But that's
change
good.
anything. Yeah,
That's good,
I'm
man.
happy. I'm happy.
That's good.
So,
and I have to tell, you know, for the listeners, there's going to be a lot of people you know that are listening because they're supporters of yours and friends of yours. Richard, to me, is hands down one of the best people I know.
Thank you.
And I not only respect him and, you know, appreciate him for everything he does for himself and for the community and people. Sometimes you trust people to the core, you know, you believe them and you don't have a reason, you know, it's not like, well, because he's a good guy or because she's a good person. It's like, for me, I feel it. Like when we hang out, we talk, I don't question anything. I don't worry about anything. I trust.
Because you're not opposing counsel. He has no reason to mislead you.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But I just kind of like, you've never sold yourself to me, even though I thought you were trying to sell something. You know what I mean? It was just you. You've been you. And in your most vulnerable moments, you've told me things, you know, not, you know, client, attorney privilege information, but you've told me things that, you know, as best as you can, as much as you can, at any given moment, you know, whether, you know, private or at the bar. The fact that you know, trust my judgment, the fact that you trust my wisdom and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's important. I have people like that. You're one of those people where I find my counsel in, and it's kind of important for growth. It's important for it. there's a humility factor that you're one of the most confident people I know, but there's a humility factor about you that is so real, you know. And I think if you're listening and, you know, you're not familiar with, you know, him as an attorney or you know, professional, and you're looking for something, I'm telling you as listeners and viewers, there's an authenticity that you don't find.
I really appreciate that.
Because I mean, you invested into my kids. You know, those are things that, you know, those are things that you don't ever have to do. But you almost feel like you would be remiss if you didn't because of how important I am to you. So when you have that, when you experience that with anybody, you hold on to it. You hold on to it because it is very crucial for yourself, for your growth, and for just the image you portray. You know, I have children, so that what they see and how I interact and how I think, those are all things that kind of transfer down. Those positive, you know, characteristics and traits. Those are just things that are all because of our friendship. Sure. You know, so yeah, I just want to say that. I don't want to get too sad.
I appreciate it.
It's from the heart. It's very true. And I'm just like, I'm very honored.
Well, I believe in you, John. I believe in you too, 100%.
Man. We talked, you know, we're on episode, what is this, episode 9, 10?
I believe it's 9.
Yeah, we definitely,
I think it's 9.
I've, like, you know, when you were talking about your blueprint, I've been...
But it is the blueprint, man. It's the real deal.
I've been studying this podcast thing and for years, you know, listening to the you know, people who succeed. And my goal, obviously, is to succeed and be, you know, to be very big name brand wise, to build the brand. But it's not about that as much as it is, I want people to listen and like really vibe and fuck with it in a way where they're just like, man, that's some real shit. Like I feel better. I feel better. I feel like I feel like I'm friends with them. I feel like I'm a part of them. And that's the kind of shit, you know, because any given day we're goofing off, we're fucking acting a damn fool. You know, that's our relationship. We're always talking shit about something or someone.
You and I are either talking politics, rap music, or sports. Essentially it's all politics because it's sports. It's all the above. But you know, it's
we're just talking about life. Speaking of sports,
Miami Heat.
Shout out to
wait.
Jimmy motherfucking Buckets.
Right,
Game 3 of the finals just happened last night. I don't know when listeners are going to hear this, probably tomorrow or the day after, but Game 4 is tomorrow, and legendary game from Jimmy Butler in the NBA Finals.
Triple-double, 40-plus points.
40-plus points.
With Bam and Goran Dragic out, sports is a segment in our podcast.
It is.
We talk about sports, but... You know.
I actually had a question for you.
Sure.
Because it's a story that I don't think I ever heard from you. I recall hearing that you played drums at the Super Bowl?
I absolutely did. That's a true story.
How the fuck did that happen?
You don't recall, motherfucker. We were watching the Super Bowl.
Well,
no, I remember. We talked about it, but I haven't asked you about it.
Bro, we were watching it, and it was like, I was like, he's there.
I know.
So, like I said, my father, he's one of the both my but I'm saying both my parents are two of the biggest influences in my life. My mom and my dad.
Gang.
But so my dad is a renowned, especially in like the Arabic world. So my dad is Syrian and Lebanese. My family's Arabic, at least on my dad's side. My mom's side is English, Irish, Scottish. Hence why I'm whitish.
Yeah.
Get red when you drink.
Yeah, I just get red. Period. That's what happens when you're a ginger. But
you're a handsome ginger. Whatever.
I'll take it. It is what it is. Like I got what I got. But so my dad works with a gentleman who has been part of Shakira's team and production team for many years. And he's had like a relationship with them for a long time. In fact, Shakira's pianist that she used multiple times is part of my dad's band.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So they were looking for people to come in. And there's a segment in the Super Bowl where you hear Middle Eastern percussion, and they wanted it to be authentic. So they called my dad. Had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I would love to say that, I'm the man.
Right.
I'm Richard.
They're like, you need Richard Corey, obviously.
That's what no, it had nothing to do with me. It was Richard Corey, but it was senior.
Yeah.
So anyway, they call him. He went in and recorded.
He's got ties with Michael Jackson too, right?
Loose ties.
Okay.
The
loose ties.
No, So the keyboard player has ties.
I'd love to have been his fucking
So like the
guy who
but he has ties with people like more people than you know. He's the man. But so they call my dad, and he went in and recorded a couple tracks, and they're like, well, you know, we want multiple players. Do you know anyone else? He's like, oh, I got you. So he calls me. First he calls me. He's like, hey, Rich, what do you think about me playing with Shakira on the Super Bowl? I'm like, oh, that sounds like a terrible idea. So you definitely shouldn't do it. What kind of stupid ass questions? Now, I would never talk to my dad like that. He's an old school Brooklyn guy. That's a good way to get. It's a good way to get punched in the face. But literally punched in the face.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't do that. He would definitely.
That's wildly problematic. That's so
he calls me back. He calls me back a couple of hours later. He's like, so, what do you think about coming in and joining me? I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to meet Shakira and Jennifer Lopez and Bad Bunny and you know everyone else that was part of the show. Like this sound. I have absolutely. What kind of a question is that? Yeah,
that's just intense though. They practice.
So we practiced every day, 5 days a week, pretty much 7 days a week for 3 weeks. And it was the coolest experience of one of the coolest things I've ever done. Actually,
that's amazing.
That's pretty up there.
I would expect it to be.
That's pretty.
I've had a couple of cool things. I've been blessed. I've had some crazy things happen in my career. Like I'll tell you about some more a little bit later. But so he gets me, my brother Jared, and then my brother-in-law Tarek, Dr. Tarek Ossi. He's like the most decorated dentist you'll ever meet. In fact, talking about the American dream and just actively pursuing excellence, I just want to give him a shout out. When I first met him, he came to the United States from Syria with nothing but a suitcase. Then he started doing dental school at Nova, met my sister.
Yeah.
And they ended up together. Now they have 3 kids, a beautiful practice, and they are collectively.
This is the one in New York or Jersey?
No. They're in Coral Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, so he was part of the percussion team. Then we also had several other percussionists who had worked with Shakira many times. So we were the new guys.
That sounds like an awful
It was
scenario.
so much fun. So we'd go and have to work. We had to commit to. Actually, my dad didn't even end up doing it because he couldn't deal with the commitment. But I definitely took off work. It was whatever.
No, absolutely.
So my dad's been there, done that.
Yeah. So fuck y'all. I'm gonna go see Shakira and Jennifer Lopez.
And play for them.
And one of the coolest things.
Ass.
So her main drummer is a guy named Richard Bravo. Yeah, pass it to him. A guy named Richard Bravo who's been if someone's getting a Latin Grammy for percussion, it's probably Richard Bravo. He's got like 20, 30 of them. Who knows?
Okay.
And he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. In fact, I have some of his custom sticks. He gave it to me as a present. Great guy. But because the whole production was several hundred people. I mean, there's probably a couple hundred dancers. And if you saw the hard work,
it was busy. It was busybody.
These people are working much harder than they get credit for. There's a reason why Shakira and J-Lo are on top of the world. They're up at 5 a.m.
Sure.
And their day is Anyway, but the coolest part of the whole thing, forget playing at the show. We actually got no TV time. We got gypped on that.
Yeah.
But you can see us on the stage if you know where to look, but we didn't.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping.
But
I was hoping it was going to be like Richard Corey featuring Shakira.
That's right. For you, like you being there.
Well, you can hear me. You can hear us playing.
It's the treat, you know.
But there was one time where Shakira walks by and she's like, "Oh, hello, hi, Richard." I'm like, "Oh my God, she knows my name." But no,
is she just as beautiful? Like.
She
person, as you just would imagine.
More importantly, she is the energy around there. Everyone around her loves being there. They love being at work.
Oh, that's
the environment created.
Because I heard Jennifer Lopez is very strict and
Well, I didn't have I was around her, but I didn't. I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm Richard. You know what I mean?
I hope not.
I mean, obviously not.
No, I was looking for the opportunity.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah. Somebody get this guy out of here.
Yeah, I didn't feel like getting thrown out.
Yeah.
But as far as I saw, they both had a smile on their entire time. I actually I was sitting with where Bad Bunny came in.
Shout out to Bad Bunny.
Where he was coming in, on the stage. That's where we were positioned before the show too, because my part was only a small section, or a small portion. So I had an opportunity to talk with him too. He seems like a real nice guy. He like, if you didn't know him, you'd think he was just a regular guy.
Sure.
And but yeah, Shakira was great. That was a fantastic experience. Like, yes, I was on stage at the Super Bowl during the halftime show. That's a true story.
Dude,
Did you fuck up the beat?
Absolutely not.
Excellent.
Are you kidding me? I crushed that shit, bro.
So your dad didn't need to be clapping.
No. Hey, that happens very rarely. That's after like one of those to the face.
Yeah,
you know,
like, I'm in section 400,
right?
No,
He's
no,
like,
no.
He's all the way up the middle.
It worked out well, and it was honestly an honor and a blessing to be part of that. We ended up at Shakira's birthday party afterwards.
Oh my
nice.
God. That's great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and she was fantastic. Her whole team, her management, everyone from her producers, like these guys work so hard.
Yeah, man.
It gave me a whole new level of respect.
Nice.
So, when you hear a lot of people talk about, this is what I love about the entertainment industry. There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. So many people get bent out of shape, especially, it's not how I mean it, but like nobodies. People just sitting at home talking shit to the TV. There's a lot of work that goes... Us, yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into even smaller things. Like, just even this production, right? There's a lot of work. It takes hours of prepping.
Yeah, you guys were here for an hour before we started.
Yeah, and that's not just that, but the bigger you are, the bigger the production, whatever. There's so much more that goes into things that people don't understand.
Yeah, they're doing it all day, every day.
The amount of run-throughs.
People have no idea how hard I work.
Staging, production,
No idea.
equipment, musicians, rehearsals.
Sure.
Everything has to be perfect, and then it has to be perfect to the artists.
Sure.
Depending on who they are and how big and crucial.
It doesn't matter how big. If you're a professional.
Yeah, correct.
Like when you guys are just getting started. Honestly, I think Grip the Grain is going to blow because I love the concept. I love the people doing it. I think you have the tools to.
Please comment,
I believe
share.
that was blow in a good way, not a bad way.
To the channel.
I meant you are going to be a very well-known, very successful
Thank you.
show, and I'm
Thank you.
very blessed and honored to be part of it.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.
But I forgot what I was saying.
I don't know.
Talking about perfectionists, when
when you look at the final version of this, whether you're Shakira or this is your 9th episode and you're just launching, you're not going to release something that's not perfect.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's not a matter
what we envision.
I don't think it matters the caliber of the artist. A true artist stands by their work.
Sure.
Even me, like I'm nowhere near the top attorney in Florida. I will be. Mark my words. I will be. But
you're the top in our hearts.
That's kind of the attitude you have to have.
But when I deliver something, I will make sure that it is an accurate representation of my brand.
Yeah,
that's it.
Because it's you and your name on it.
And let me tell you. Sorry, James. Let me tell you. Like I have. When I was telling you about the blueprint, when I was talking about that, I definitely sat. I sat down and jotted notes. I have a notebook that that I've been taking notes in for like 3-4 years. Because it was originally a YouTube thing, then it became like podcast, then it became both,
Yeah.
And so I have a vision, I didn't want to tack onto your in math terms because I fucking suck at math, even though I'm half Korean and I suck at math. Didn't get that. But I have a vision, I have a goal. I know that I'm destined to talk to people. I know that my job, my purpose in life is to sit down and talk and bridge the gap with people. Like
bridge the gap between you and your vision, baby.
Whatever it is, And so there's been, in 9 episodes, if I can tell you honestly, and I'll say it on the episode instead of behind, when we're done. If I can tell you that there's been so many people, which thank you. So many people that have given me constructive criticism about making it shorter, making it longer, making it this, doing that, talking about this, being more funny, not being so mellow. A lot of the shit I'm learning as I go. But my passion and my heart as far as like what I envision, what I want to do, like the interview hub, I want to interview people, I don't care. I'll even say it and I'll talk about it now. We are going to do a Mom of the Month episode where we highlight a mother. She doesn't have to be a single mother, but just a mother. And because to me, there's nothing more powerful and wonderful and special than a mom, especially moms who go through challenges with childbirth, laboring in labor, or
all of them,
NICU,
everyone,
all of them are special.
Absolutely, yeah.
God, but I want to highlight these mothers that I personally know, and I know a handful of them. And so we're going to do that once a month, you know. And it's we're two guys. We talk about sports. We talk about movies, hip hop. Fuck it. I'll have a whole last episode talking about how wonderful and powerful and uplifting and special that one mother is, because there's gonna be so many moms who listen and feel encouraged and feel like, you know, people do give a shit, because people don't give a shit until their story is like thrown at you, you know?
Sure.
Like, you know, hey, how you doing? And then they're like, oh, well, you know, I've spent the last 80 days or 100 days or 2 years. You know, my daughter has, you know, open heart surgeries. Had like 6 in the past, you know, few years. Or she has, or this or that. There's so many complications. My son was in the NICU. You saw me the day.
Yeah, how crazy was that? You were there too.
You know, and you were like, dude,
God rest his soul. That was the death of my uncle.
Yeah,
and I just happened to see you at the hospital.
They were at the hospital at the same time.
Didn't
for entirely
know
different
that
reasons.
my youngest son, Theo, he was coming at 28 weeks, 28 and a half weeks, and I was as
stud.
white as a fucking ghost, as tan and brown as I am.
Yeah, you were whiter than me, man.
And I was, because that was the one thing, you know, everything in the military, everything in, you know, like my family, as far as I just knocked out my cord. Everything as far as like my family and just things that I've gone through in my life, I've been able to kind of have some control over it, but that was the one thing I didn't have control over. Sure. I was fucking terrified. And so I want to bring awareness, more awareness to mothers. You know, I haven't gotten there, but, you know, moms who've had miscarriages, you know, like Chrissy Teigen just had, you know, her son Jack didn't make it, and she just shared, and people have been crucifying her. How dare you take photos, you know, just after you lost your son, you care about what people think and this and that. And then fuck all that. You know what?
People on the internet are always going to be dicks.
There's so many people that are so afraid and scared and scarred because they can't talk about things that hurt them, but they want to open up and talk. Like, I posted about Theo after he was successfully, the cesarean, and then I knew mom was okay. She hadn't seen him. She didn't see him for almost 24 hours, and then I saw Theo. He got taken. He was maybe 3 pounds, and he got taken. He was in a bag, and he got, you know, and he was probably smaller than my hand. And they brought him up into the NICU, and I was like, that kind of shit, you know. And I'm a dad. I'll never understand what it's like to be pregnant, to feel that baby inside of you. I'm not saying I want to.
You have 3 beautiful kids, man.
I do, and I appreciate that. So, but my point in all of this, you know, because we're going to wrap up soon, I definitely want to do things the way I envision it. This is my show.
But
pursue excellence,
James is my co-host.
But at the same time, you want to have that other perspective that we can't possibly have.
Correct.
Because we are dudes.
And I want to be sensitive about it, because I am not the most sensitive person when it comes to, you know, being eloquent in how I say things or approach things. I don't mean to be insensitive to things that are now, you know, of importance, always have been, but things that are now, you know, there's a focus on how to be sensitive to it and respectful, because it's hurtful the way you talk about things, you know. And so I love growth, man. I want to be better every day. I want people to feel encouraged. I want people to laugh. I want people to feel emotion and be open and trust that there are things in this world that are bigger than, you know, just our day to day, and trust that people are going to be encouraged and uplifted by it, because someone out there is going to come across this episode about, you know, law or whatever.
Right? Someone's going to need an enterprise attorney.
There's a guy or girl out there that loves hip hop and wants to be an attorney.
You know, I want to, before
real shit.
If we're closing up, we talked a lot about the entertainment path, and I mentioned a lot of names. I want to mention 2 more.
Yeah.
One is Joseph Salamita.
Okay.
He was
I met him. I met him at the...
Yes. He was one of my oldest friends from like kindergarten. Most talented musician
I need to get in that studio.
Yeah, so he made a lot of things happen. I recorded my audiobook at his studio. He runs Vanquish Studios. Now it's primarily a gospel-based studio, but it's also a commercial studio. Like he runs a gospel label, and he's killing it in his sector.
Oh, I got to talk to him about some gospel artists.
Yeah.
That's how I learned drums.
Well, I'm a Christian man myself.
I learned drums in a gospel choir in a church. So
if you think I'm good at drums, he's the man.
Oh, I don't want to see him in that. He owns the studio.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to.
But I also want to talk about my guy, Chris White with Wiser.
Okay.
Who really, if it wasn't for him, the most aside from playing the drums on the Super Bowl was a cool thing, but that wasn't law related.
Sure.
Through my relationship with Chris and his company Wiser, that stands for Wealth International Sports Entertainment Realty.
Holy shit.
That's a mouthful.
I thought that was just like names.
Sounds like someone wanted to fit these words.
No, this guy's a monster. He's a monster.
Yeah.
But I remember I get introduced to a producer. And the guys, you met the producer as well.
Yes.
I don't want to say any names. I don't want, great guy, super producer guy. And he's doing a deal with every label you can imagine. And platinum recording artists involved, Grammy Award winners involved. Anyway, we're sitting down. We're at the Ivy in Los Angeles having lunch just because we had to. So my client, who was also his client, we represents. I'm representing him on the attorney side. He was management side.
Yeah.
And this particular person is also a dear friend of mine. I love him very much. Awesome guy, talented guy. We're renegotiating his deal because he was offered X, but it's like, well, you brought me in. Let's see what we can do better.
Yeah, he's getting
Next thing you know, we're with, God rest his soul, Andre Harrell, sitting. It's Chris, Andre, and I. We're sitting at the Ivy in Los Angeles, and as we're sitting there, a TMZ bus is driving by, and we're sitting on the patio, just the three of us. Now, Chris was part of a group, he went on tour with Destiny's Child years ago, so he's been there, done that. But for me, I've never. I deal with the legal team.
Yeah,
I've never been sitting with these guys. So next thing you know, the
TMZ is gonna come by.
They slam on the brakes. And God rest his soul, Andre Harrell was a great guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. But they slam on the brakes and come out, and they got their cameras and stuff. And I'm just sitting there, back,
yeah.
Well, even before that happened, I'm sitting there oh my God. But I got to play it cool, hey, I'm Richard Corey. But I did want to recognize Chris, too, because he had a big part. I mentioned a couple people, I want to throw him out there.
Absolutely.
Shout outs, for sure. Well, thank you so much, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
This has been a lot of fun. It's
been a delight.
We definitely gonna have you back on the show.
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, we want to do. We want to. I want to have you back, when there's some growth and we have a little bit.
Rosie,
more of a production team. Rosie. I don't know who Rosie. Oh, Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie.
Callie.
Yeah, we get her out here. That's my girl. I love her.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a monster. I'm talking about
she's a mother.
My friend.
She's a mother. We're talking about
my friend and mentor, and thankfully for me, I've worked with her a little bit. Rosie Mercado. I'm throwing you out too. Yes, man.
Big facts. Yes, let's do it up. Let's do it up big. Thank you, my brother. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Thank you for having me. God bless you guys.
Yeah, man.
And with that, we are out this bitch. Script the Grain, Richard Corey.
Yes, sir.
Esquire, Headhunter James. I'm Big Kunta. We out this bitch.